Our upcoming game takes place in a big city, full of strange creatures, but also full of people. Like in many classic RPGs, they are a way of conveying useful information to the player. In an open world game like this, the player will be relying on their knowledge of the world. And beyond environmental clues, NPCs are a key means of acquiring this knowledge. But they're not just functional. They are a way of breathing life into a world. And maybe most importantly, they are simply another way to tell silly jokes. Today I want to share my process in making these NPCs, at least from a graphical point of view. Hi, I'm Stijn, project lead at Frog Vibes, currently working on 5 Bucks for the Bus, an RPG about living in our modern society. Thanks for tuning in, this is Stijn at Work. Let's start by looking at our main character, Patricia. Here she is. And here's what she looks like in pixel art. As you can see, a lot of compromises had to be made to make her make sense at this resolution. I'm quite happy with how it turned out though. She will serve as the basis for the style going forward. But first, why pixel art? Well, the practical reason is that it allows us, a tiny indie studio, to make a large open world. But I also believe that one of pixel art's greatest strengths is its ambiguity. Similar to how a book relies on its reader's imagination, pixel art allows the player to envision a world in a very intimate way. Beyond pixel art, we'll be using illustrations to highlight emotions, 3D environments for immersive maze-like dungeons, and pre-rendered CGI to highlight objects and encounters. Anyway, there are a few aspects to the pixel art style for 5 Bucks of the Bus. One is the general shape of the head, torso, arms, legs. This changes slightly from character to character, but things like the boxy hands, the size of the head, the shape of the feet, they stay pretty consistent. Then there's the eyes. They are full black, like the outline. Most of them will have one of these variations. This is in part due to the resolution not allowing for a lot of leeway. If you know any other eye designs that fit this resolution, please let me know. I'm desperate for more eyes. Then there are the colors. How do I pick colors? I don't know. I'm not great with colors, so honestly, I just pick them a little haphazardly. Though there are a few things I like to keep in mind. I try not to oversaturate. I try to shift to blue for darker shades and yellow for lighter shades. And I try to reuse colors as much as possible to at least get a vague sense of consistency. But speaking of shades, shading is quite important to this style. Luckily, it's also quite simple. I add a horizontal shadow just under the hairline. This is to add depth to the face. Unless it doesn't make sense for the hairstyle, then I just make up some shading on the fly. Like this guy. He is special because he gets a nose. I will also darken the row of pixels below the head. This separates the head from the torso, but in an artistic way, not a "I'll rip your head off" kind of way. And lastly, I'll darken one arm and one leg to show that they are a little farther away from the viewer. Then there's outlines. Here's what the characters look like without, and here's what they look like with outlines. I'm opting for quite pronounced outlines. I feel they fit the bold nature of the game, and they are a great way to separate the characters from the environment. But they shouldn't be separated too much. They are supposed to be standing in the environment after all. That's why we exclude the outlines on the bottom row. This is exactly where their feet will be touching the ground. There's another use for outlines. Consider these shapes. It looks like the main difference is that one has a vaguely thicker outline. There are essentially different ways of lining an object in pixel art, but something interesting happens when you use these two ways together. Look, choosing where to add these pixels has a great impact on the perception of the shape, as well as the final silhouette. We're either emphasizing or smoothing over parts of the shape. Here's me, using it while I work on NPC art. Here's an NPC without the added pixels, and here's the same one with. Here's another example. And another one. This makes lining the characters maybe one of my favorite parts of the process. It's fun to see them suddenly gain a more distinct shape. Finally, there's animation. And I'm relieved to tell you that we're doing it the lazy way. You see, we don't animate NPCs unless there's a special reason to do so. Instead, we use our custom animation system to give them a breathing motion. And yes, the game has no regard for accurately portraying low-resolution hardware, since that's not really the point to why we are using pixel art. The reason why we animate like this is in part due to the resolution. Any hand-drawn animation in this resolution is either going to be exaggerated or a complex array of colors. There's also the fact that if we set a precedent that NPCs only require one frame, then it will be easier to add more NPCs later on. Decisions like this really shape what's possible as a game is developed. So what's great about this approach is that it allows us to add a lot of unique NPCs. The style is quite bold while leaving specifics up to the imagination, and that's exactly why we're using pixel art in the places we do. We are limiting ourselves a little bit. The low resolution makes it very difficult to reliably show specific details. Things are bound to be interpreted in different ways. With only one frame per NPC, we're missing out on a lot of ways to give them more personality. I do think it would be interesting to make the occasional NPC do something. In the end, this is just how we chose to approach making NPCs. There are endless ways to go about styling and implementation. What are some examples of NPCs you like? I'd love to check them out. We can never have enough references. Also, let me know what you'd like to hear about next. If it's adult game dev related, I'd love to talk about it. $5 for the bus is a project I care about a lot. If you're at all interested, please wishlist, follow us, and please join our Discord. There I make some devlog posts, and I'm also available if you'd like to ask any questions. That's it for today. Thank you for watching. Bye bye. Hi, it's me again. About the Discord. We'll be doing a monthly game club. Similar to a book club, we choose a different game each month. Then everyone can either play it, watch it, or just read about it. The goal is to just discuss the game, specifically interesting or positive things about it, so we can start analyzing games together. Hope to see you there. Bye again.